and let us all do we can to build a better future.
To quote Palpatine, it's treason then. And apparently Elon Musk is being made into public enemy number one because he is being accused of refusing to help Kiev attack a Russian naval fleet in Crimea. Okay, well, I've been looking into this story, talking about it. Now, first and foremost, just to trigger liberals and the vote blue no matter who crowd, because they deserve to be triggered, because I don't care about their feelings. Musk responds to the Ukraine treason claims. American tech billionaire Elon Musk has responded to criticism over his refusal to help enable a Ukrainian drone attack on a Russian naval forces in Crimea by pointing out that he is a citizen of the U.S. and isn't obliged to fight for Kiev. Again, I know everyone's hearts were bleeding when the Russian tanks crossed over into Ukraine. Again, this war could have been avoided if, I don't know, you didn't provoke your giant neighbor. Maybe if the Biden-Harris administration didn't feel like instigating stuff further. I know a lot of Democrats are suffering from Trump derangement syndrome and Putin. Woogie, boogie, boogie. But people need to get over themselves. Again, he goes on to say, I'm a U.S. citizen and I have only that passport. He said on Twitter, no matter what happens, I will fight and die in America. He added that in light of the fact that the U.S. Congress hasn't declared war on Russia, if anyone is treasonous, it is those who call me such. Please tell them that very clearly. At issue is Musk's decision last year to prevent his Starlink satellite network from being used to guide Ukrainian naval drones for an attack against the Russian Black Sea Fleet on the Crimean coast. When news of Musk's refusal came to light last week, U.S. media outlets suggested that he has been traitorous, and Ukrainian President aide Mikhail Podolyak accused him of committing evil and encouraging evil. This is why I don't care about this war in Ukraine, because, again, everyone's so triggered by Trump, Putin, and everyone else that can't think for themselves. My God, just call for diplomatic talks like this great counteroffensive war. It's getting boring. It's insulting to Americans that billions of dollars of aid is going there, that our politicians care about a foreign country than they care more about their fellow citizens. And at this point, hey, look, let's go back in time. Let's go back in time. October 18th, 2022, when everyone was, we gotta go into this war, even though it could cause World War III. Here, shout out to Case Study QB. Because, again, you know, the EU is considering paying Elon Musk to keep giving Starlink internet to Ukraine. Because everyone was happy for it for a time.
Lastly, Elon Musk and Starlink. This is a service that he's provided to keep satellite internet internet service over Ukraine. So welcomed during this war. But after a back and forth with members of the Ukrainian government, Musk has threatened to cut it off. He now says he'll keep it on, but European Union members, are weighing a backup plan to try to purchase it. What's the latest?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So the FT is reporting that the EU are looking for ways to continue funding some of these Starlink terminals. As you mentioned, Elon Musk sent them over, donated them to Ukraine in the middle of the war to help keep their communication services going. Right now, there are about 20,000 situated in and around the country, very important for the military. But in a tit for tat on Twitter, Elon Musk, as he often likes to tweet, suggested that he may look to stop funding these Starlink terminals, and namely because they were costing his SpaceX company about $20 million a month to keep the funding going. And even though he's reversed his stance since then, many EU officials are saying, well, given that these Starlink terminals are so crucial to communication flow within Ukraine, they're going to find alternative ways to keep them going, if not paying for the subscription themselves, or looking at alternative means to keep the internet communication.
Now let's pause here and return back to the article. The Tesla CEO and SpaceX founder gave Ukraine free use of the 20,000 Starlink terminals after Russia launched its military offense against Kiev in February of 2022. His aim was to keep Ukrainians from losing internet access and communication capabilities amid the conflict. That's the only reason. However, Musk expressed concern about his network being used for offensive purposes and potentially playing a part in triggering a wider conflict. He therefore refused Kiev's pleas to extend the country's Starlink coverage all the way it's accessible, or however you say it. If I had to agree to the request, then SpaceX would be explicitly complicit in a major act of war and conflict escalation. Now, that's not good, according to people like Jake Tapper of CNN. CNN, that's a sinking ship. Max, Warner Brothers, what were you thinking by adding that failing network to your streaming service?
SpaceX CEO Elon Musk has recently confirmed a report that's in Walter Isaacson's new biography of Musk that last year Musk blocked access to his Starlink satellite network in Crimea in order to disrupt a major Ukrainian attack on the Russian Navy there. In other words, Musk effectively sabotaged a military operation by Ukraine, a U.S. ally, against Russia, an aggressor country that invaded a U.S. ally.
Now, it's not the U.S. has ever had a history of invading other weak countries like Afghanistan, Iraq, getting involved in Syria, causing a coup in Libya, potentially causing a coup in Venezuela. You know, wait, we kind of are. And not to mention instigating conflict in Ukraine by, again, triggering the Russians because, Ukraine was never supposed to be part of NATO. That was an agreement. But, Biden, he wanted to be tough, and liberals are now the warmongering party. Billions of dollars going to Ukraine, but nothing for you. Nothing for the people. You're not going to get jack. Now, if you name your city Ukraine or Kiev or something like that, or change your state flag to Ukraine, watch, you're going to get billions of dollars. Because that seems to be the only thing our politicians care about.
Should there be repercussions for that?
Jake, I can't speak to a specific episode. Here's what I can tell you. Starlink has been a vital tool for the Ukrainians to be able to communicate with each other, and particularly for the military to communicate in their effort to defend all of Ukraine's territory. It remains so, and I would expect it to continue to be critical to their efforts. So what we would hope and expect is that that technology will remain fully available to the Ukrainians. It is vital to what they're doing.
I don't know that you can.
Well, again, if it's so vital, how's that counteroffense going? Oh, wait. It's going to be winter pretty soon. Anyways, just a side note for that counteroffense. Look, if you're in a fight, you don't tell anyone, hey, I'm going to punch you in the face with this right fist, and you're going to go down. No, you're going to get smacked in the mouth.
Can't speak to it. You won't speak to it. Musk says he was reportedly afraid that Russia would retaliate with nuclear weapons. Musk says that's based on his private discussions he had with senior Russian officials. Are you concerned that Musk is apparently conducting his own diplomatic outreach to the Russian government? Really?
Okay, and here's where CNN is making an accusation. See, this is where corporate media has to go. Oh, no. You had the audacity to think for yourself. Oh, no. Someone's an enemy of the state. Follow orders. Eat the bugs. Comply with the system. This is why people don't watch CNN anymore. You're making an accusation. Now, look, there's a lot of things I disagree with Elon Musk. But when it comes down to corporate media then dictating or saying that he is a traitor, this isn't the first time we've seen corporate media say a person's a traitor. Remember, it was a long, long time ago where people thought that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And look what happened to all the individuals who had the courage to say on corporate media at the time that maybe this war in Iraq is a bad idea and it's going to cost us everything. And what happened to those people? They were blacklisted. They lost their jobs. People were dismissed and ostracized. But only now, miracle of miracles, that people can look back and say, gee, Iraq was a bad idea. Now, again, don't fall for the propaganda where people say, well, we were there to help rebuild and get rid of Saddam. No, the reason why we were there was to get rid of the weapons of mass destruction. That was one big lie. Yellow cake, remember that? Oh, my God, yellow cake is in my hand.
None of this concerns you?
Jake, I can't speak to conversations that may or may not have happened. I don't know. I'm focused on the fact that the technology itself, Starlink, has been really important to the Ukrainians. It remains so. And it should continue to be part of what they're able to call on to be able to communicate with themselves. And again, to have the military be able to communicate. Throughout this Russian aggression, we ourselves have always had to factor in what Russia may do in response to any given thing that we or others do or the Ukrainians do, and we have. But what's so critical now is that Ukraine has had real success over the past year. I was just in Ukraine, as you know. The last time I was there was almost exactly a year ago.
Yes, nothing has changed. Now, of course, when it comes down to Russia and deeming somebody a traitor, you know who is going to be foaming at the mouth, ready to jump on it like a horny kangaroo. Everybody's personal favorite, Rachel Maddow. Because, you know, this is how she buys her stuff. Russia, Russia, Russia. This war in Ukraine is a big waste. And it's an insult to every single American. It is not in our interest as citizens to be involved in this stupid, stupid war.
Doing with them. The Walter Isaacson, much hyped biography of Elon Musk that comes out tomorrow includes a story about the Ukrainian military planning to launch an attack on Russian Navy ships in port in Crimea. And per Mr. Isaacson's account, Elon Musk personally took action to make sure the Ukrainian military would not be able to do that. Mr. Musk making sure that the Ukrainian military could not use his Starlink satellite.
I don't know. I think Elon Musk did the right thing, okay? Maybe I don't want to see Chicago burnt to cinder by a nuclear bomb. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to see the war escalate past Ukraine. Maybe the war was just a dumb idea to begin with. Maybe our politicians shouldn't have been playing this game. And no, to quote Biden, when he said it's democracy versus oligarchs. No, it's oligarchs versus oligarchs, okay? The only innocent people in this entire situation are the people of the world, regular civilians, okay? You want to know why prices are going up? It's because of these sanctions and inflation prices because of war. War is all about money, okay? And who's profiting? The military-industrial complex. Who else is also suffering? Again, the people. Because everything's all interconnected. We have this entire infrastructure connected together. You don't have to like Elon Musk, but I'd say, hey, Elon, thank you for doing that, okay? Just like I'll quote Donald Trump and say, listen, I want people to stop dying. You want to stop this war? Great. Great. I don't care where you're at in the political spectrum, where you're on the social ladder. If you want to stop this war, great. Because this war, as it continues to go on and on and on, it's an insult. Billions go to this country in Ukraine. It's not even part of our nation. And yet people of Maui, people of East Palestine get nothing. Hell, Americans get nothing in general. World's smallest violin. The story is getting old and boring. So, yeah, the war didn't escalate further. Thank you, Elon. Okay? There's a lot of things I don't agree with him with. Okay? Because he's part of that social class of billionaires. But you know what? I'll give this a pass. He stopped something bad from happening. Great. Humanity still lives on this cursed world called Earth that's going on a tilted axis. Is this not evidence enough about why diplomatic talks need to happen? On why this war needs to stop? Why all these wars need to stop? Because someday some dumb idiot's going to push that shiny red button, and then we are all screwed. And all of this technology, we're not going to get back to this point again. The survivors will envy the dead. Do you want to know how World War III is going to play out? Check out the film Threads. That's what's going to happen to us. It'll be a pathetic end for humanity.
Internet network, which is what Ukraine uses for connectivity on the battlefield to advance that operation. He got personally involved to make sure Ukraine had its hands tied in battle. It's reported in Mr. Isaacson's biography. It was first reported by The Economist in October. Then last month in The New Yorker, reporter Ronan Farrow reported more detail about how Elon Musk has been stopping Ukrainian forces.
I do not care. If it's preventing the war from being escalated, so be it, okay? Now, Elon Musk indicated Starlink can be used under controlled territories that Ukraine has. But, oh, wait, you want to use it to escalate military conflict? Now, again, Elon Musk is a U.S. citizen. Starlink, hey, it's under Elon Musk's umbrella. Uh-oh, U.S. satellites or U.S. adjacent satellites being used in a coordinated attack against a Russian ship. The U.S. has not declared war against Russia, Rachel. Now, I know you're foaming at the mouth and you're still triggered by 2016 because, oh, no, Donald Trump. I swear to God, give me the money and I will put on a skit to show you just how pathetic a lot of these Democrat liberal voters are because Trump. Okay? We told you he was going to be running again in 2024. We told you that Russiagate was stupid propaganda, and Rachel Maddow and her fantastic friends at BSDNC and CNN were promoting this. And Jake Tapper saying, Elon Musk, he's a traitor. Just remember, they viewed independents, all of us, as traitors because we had the audacity to think and vote for ourselves. If you're not angry at the system, I don't know what else to tell you, but, Elon, hey, buddy, in the off chance you see this video, thanks for stopping that crisis from happening, because it would have been pretty bad, Rachel, and you wouldn't have your fantastic little studio to tell all your lies, now would you?
From using this crucial supply line, from using Starlink in Kherson and Zaporizhia and Kharkiv and Donetsk and Luhansk, Musk has been geofencing all of those places in Ukraine, fencing those places off from the Starlink satellite network, deliberately to hamstring Ukraine's military, deliberately to stop Ukraine defending its territory in this war against Russia after Russia invaded them. So, not to get too simple here, but...
You are simple. But we can forgive you. To quote, Tropic Thunder. Rachel, this is for you. Rachel, never go full retard. Did I say a mean word? Oh, I'm not sorry.
Mr. Musk is American. He's an American citizen. And it is the explicit, out loud, not at all hidden, totally overt, totally emphatic policy of the United States government to support Ukraine in its war against Russia after Russia invaded them. We provide Ukraine, our ally, lots of military aid and training and intelligence and all sorts of other assistance. They are our ally in that war.
Well, speak for yourself. So after bombarding you with Rachel and Jake, let's get some clarity. We deserve it after this. Shout out to Glenn Greenwald, probably the only one who sees the real news out of all of this. Again, he speaks truth to power. Please follow him on his network system update. He does phenomenal work.
A new biography of Elon Musk claims that Musk denied Starlink services to the Ukrainian military, specifically to its fleet of submarines as they prepared to attack the Russian Navy. Musk's company, SpaceX, controls more satellites than any company or government in the world and is used to, among other things, ensure internet connection anywhere in the world, even if the military forces of one's enemy tries to deny internet service by bombing. Musk has provided Ukraine with billions of dollars of free Starlink services since the war began, when the U.S. government refused originally to compensate him for it. He originally said he would have to withdraw it because they couldn't afford it, but then announced he would continue to provide it for free. But as always with Ukraine and its supporters, nothing is never enough. You must always give more. Musk confirmed part of the story in this new biography and provided his motive this way, quote, "There was an emergency request from government authorities, meaning in Ukraine and then in the United States, to activate Starlink all the way to Sevastopol. The obvious intent being to sink most of the Russian fleet at anchor. If I had agreed to their request, then SpaceX would be explicitly complicit in a major act of war and conflict escalation." He went on to point out that he didn't actually cut off existing services, but just refused the request of the Ukrainian military to extend it even further so they could attack the Russians in an all-new way that he feared would lead to escalation that his company and he would ultimately be responsible for, ethically, if not legally. Now, that concession immediately led to widespread accusations that Musk was guilty of treason, or at least being pro-Russian, and calls for the United States government to seize his company. His Starlink services were widespread. But in what way is this pro-Russian? Do private companies, or for that matter, foreign governments, have some obligation to provide the Ukrainian military with everything and anything it demands?
Unfortunately, Glenn, and I wanted to keep on playing this video so it wasn't interrupted, because again, Glenn is doing a phenomenal work. We only got 12 seconds left in this video. But again, the way the media has been presenting this war, everyone should be bending over backwards for Ukraine. This war has gone on long enough. People have suffered for long enough. It needs to end right away. And because of the way corporate media and the Democratic Party and CNN, MSNBC, and yes, TYT and other larger media networks are so triggered by Trump and Putin that they let Russiagate take away their ability to think critically and realize, uh-oh, wait a minute, oh no, we can't ever get triggered or be put in a corner like this again. We have to be full warlike automatically. To hell with the consequences. And so when this war happened in Ukraine, the ability of, wait a minute, we got to stop this before it escalates even further, was prevented. Same thing that happened in Iraq, where people thought there were WMDs. Anyone that was critical against it was vilified. It's happening now here. But I think there's a larger movement across the political spectrum that realize, hey, this war in Ukraine is BS, especially with what happened to Maui. I mean, look at what happened to U.S. citizens in Hawaii, in Maui, the community of Lahaina. They lost everything. And they're getting jack shite. Whereas Ukraine gets billions and billions of dollars. But let's look at the U.S. as a whole. There are so many communities that lack safe, clean drinking water. Our roads are crumbling. Our bridges are falling. We don't have updated internet infrastructure. Everything is subpar in this country. Americans are dead last. Americans are struggling with debt, be it medical debt, be it student debt, be it financial debt. Small business owners are struggling. The aftermath of the 2020 lockdowns impacted so many Americans' wallets. But yet Ukraine gets everything. They're number one. They're not even part of our country. And, you know, it wasn't too long ago where Zelensky said he wanted Ukraine to have the same relationship that Israel has with the USA. Oh, my God. Boy, oh, boy. Must be nice. What about the people? And look, everyone's talking about it on social media. Like, everyone's patience and kindness, the well of kindness, is more or less gone. So I want to ask you, our audience, type 1 if you still have a warm spot for this war in Ukraine and we got to stop Russia and Putin. Type 2, it's gone on long enough. Diplomatic talks need to happen. I just want people to stop dying. Yeah. Look, I'm going to keep on quoting Trump on that. He's the only reasonable politician to really talk about it.
Are those who refuse those demands, including out of a desire not to help escalate a already dangerous war, are they inherently guilty of wanting the Kremlin to win the war or being pro-Putin?
It doesn't have to be this way. I want to pull up one last video here. Because I bombard you with Jake Tapper and CNN and BSDNC and Rachel. Glenn Greenwald did a fantastic takedown, but I want to pull up this other video here too. Shout out to Chief Nerd. UFC fighter Sean Strickland goes off on the military-industrial complex. Let's play it. I want you all to hear his voice because it's something that we've talked about on this show.
Like, what do you think Ukraine is? You think Ukraine is Ukraine's not a war between Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine is a war between America and Russia. And the reason why you'll never see a boot on the ground in Russia, because there'll be a nuclear war. There will never, ever be a World War III. Because the moment we put a boot on the ground of any country, it's all out war.
That's true. Why do you think we went to Iraq and Afghanistan? Easy countries where we don't have to worry about anything. To quote Donald Trump, reason why we're in Syria, because of the oil.
So you have these small little China or Vietnam proxy wars, Afghanistan proxy wars. We're all trying to buy for pieces. And all it does, dude, it's like the broken window fallacy. All it does is it makes your dollar, it makes you, I mean, God, I'm going deep on this motherfucker, but you have to work for months to go pay for war that you don't even fucking want. We have lost all control of America.
And that is true. The military-industrial complex, corporate media, big tech, they want to censor our speech. They want to silence us so that we don't have a voice. Look, this war should never have happened. And again, go check out the Twitter account Unusual Whales. Unusual Whales on Twitter. They'll tell you what you're also fantastic lawmakers in the United States Senate and House and what they're investing in. And you'll notice that a lot of them made a killing in 2022 with the military-industrial complex. No pun intended. They knew the war was going to happen, and they didn't stop it.
and it is run by fucking corporations. I mean, you look at Hunter Biden. You Biden supporter?
No.
I mean, nobody should be a Hunter Biden.
No.
It is factual. It is fucking factual.
I wouldn't mind partying with Hunter Biden maybe once or twice.
Yeah, but I, mean,
I don't
all,
like Joe
all the
Biden.
cocaine, right? All the
Hunter
all the fun
seems kind of
times.
dope.
But it is factual that Hunter Biden sold influence of our country to Ukraine. And guess what happened? Fucking a year later, we're sending $100 billion to Ukraine. Why is it? It's so ironic to me that you have Hunter Biden going to Ukraine on the board of oil companies. Now we just spent $100 billion. Like the shit that goes on in this country is means for a fucking revolution. And it will never happen because they have stripped the nutsack from men. We have no dignity. We have no purpose.
And people should be angry, especially with what happened to our system, especially with what happened to our institutions. The corporations and corporate media want to dictate to you who's the enemy and who's the hero. Remember, corporate media will have you hating a person speaking the truth and have you worship a person telling a lie. How do we know this? Well, look at what they did to Hill Dog. They turned her into a saint, and they really did everything they could say, oh, the election was stolen from her. Look what they did to Joe Biden, who's been on the wrong side of history. They turned him into what? America's grandpa? Creepy, sleepy Uncle Joe? Look what they do to all these politicians. They don't challenge them. They don't criticize them. Look what they do to gain access to the top 1%. Look at all the stories they ignore. And anyone that chooses to cover it or shine a light to it, well, whistleblowers and independent journalists are then vilified or go to jail right away. For a final statement of this, Elon Musk did nothing wrong. He didn't. And for that, he prevented the U.S. from being involved in a global conflict. And for that, I thank him for it. But how about let's go a step further? I don't know. Controversial statement. Maybe end the war? Because all wars are meaningless. And this war has the potential of escalating to something far, far dangerous that we will never recover from. Maybe end the war. Wouldn't that be a sight?